Hi everyone, it's Nancy McNally. It's time to do or create block number 4 of the pumpkin spice quilt along. So don't forget, you can find your pattern on my website in my shop, and the title of block number 4 is Pumpkin Spice Block Number 4. So real quick, what we're going to work on today. In your pattern, I've included something a little extra on the image of the block. On the first page of the download, you will see that the labels are on the block. And so that's the extra. And I also included your coloring page. So now, what are we going to work on today? We're going to make half square triangles using the 8 at a time method, because we have to make 8 of each color, because we're making 2 blocks. So there's 4 of each color needed for each of the maple leaves. Making 2 blocks makes it 8. So we need 8 half square triangles, and it's easier and fastest to do the 8 at a time method. The next thing we're going to learn today is how to make that half square triangle. Well, it's not even a half square triangle. We're going to make the stem part of each of the leaves, and the size of the stem is a really narrow piece of fabric. So that's going to be our skill today. All right. Let's gather our supplies. Don't forget to grab your pattern, and let's get started. Let's talk about what we're going to need. Before we begin our 8 at a time half square triangles, you're going to need a writing utensil, some type of straight edge to draw the lines, and of course your rotary cutter. All right, so now that you've downloaded your pattern and you're ready to work along with me, we're going to grab our cream B square and I'm using the orange, apricot, coral, whatever color you would like to call it, whatever color you're using. As you can see, I've already made these over here. So we're starting with the half square triangles, the 8 at a time. So you're going to draw a diagonal line to make an X. So there's 1 and there's 2. Then the next, you're going to draw center. Now fold the fabric in half, create a crease so that you can find it, and draw a line midpoint, and again draw a line midpoint, top to bottom, side to side. These are not your sewing lines. The X is your sewing lines. Okay, so for the next step you're going to do is you're going to use your 1/4 inch foot. I'm going to bring that up here and move some of the things that I've already made out of the way. All right, so you're going to use your 1/4 inch foot. This is my 1/4 inch foot, and it has a fabric guide. And you're going to align that fabric guide along the edge of your drawn line. Your needle will go down into the hole of the sewing foot, and you will sew a 1/4 inch away from that line. You're going to go all the way across, rotate, and then go up this way and do the same thing on this line. So you're going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides of both of the diagonal lines. All right, let me get mine completed. All right, to make something clear, because I left that off, you're going to match, just like the pattern says, you're going to match your, if I can pick it up, there we go. You're going to match your cream square B to one of your, from your assortment of colors, also B squares. All right, so now we can sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of the drawn line. All right, so what I wanted to show you is, see right in here, we are going to cross over all these lines, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. So now let me sew a 1/4 inch on either side of the other diagonal line. All right, I have both diagonal lines sewn on either side, and I want you to see how it makes a little square right here. Don't worry about that. Now our next step is we're going to cut apart from center, our center lines, which is like the plus sign, and then the next we'll be cutting the diagonal lines, which created an X. So if you decide that you would like to cut them apart another way, that's fine. Just cut them on the lines that you did not sew on. So you can cut on the diagonal, or you can cut here on the the up and down. So another thing I like to do is to have a revolving cutting mat on hand, but I don't have one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move all these pieces, and I'm just going to rotate my mat. It works just as easy, and hope I don't knock anything off. Everything's still in the same place. It's easier if everything is kept in the same place and it doesn't move. There we go. And if it moves, just tuck it back down. All right. There we go. Now I'm going to cut from this corner on this diagonal line all the way up there, and I will move my ruler. So if you ever come across this, don't raise the rotary cutter out, or don't take it out of the fabric. Just leave it there, hold it in place, and gently move the ruler. Now I'm going to rotate it just a little bit this way. Let's cut all these. There we go. Okay, and now we have 8 half square triangles. Now we have this little section right here where you can see the threads. Don't worry about those. We're going to press to one side, and then we're going to trim them to the correct size needed. All right, that's your next step. I have trimmed my half square triangles down to the correct size, and now I'm going to work on the stem. So for the stem, you're going to need your green rectangle, and your green is, let me go back and look. Your green is your E rectangle, and you're going to need your D cream triangles. All right, so let me show you how to do this. This is really easy. We're going to take our triangle, you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to pinch that crease right there. And just so that you can see it, I'm going to put, whoops, there we go. I'm going to put a mark right here. Okay, so I'm going to move this up here so that you can see it. It's right there, okay? I'm going to do it on this one also. It doesn't matter if you fold them wrong side or right sides together. Okay, put that mark there. It's easier to find too if you do mark it. Okay, and then we're going to fold this one in half. And these are made longer than what you need because we're going to trim these to size. Okay, let's see, maybe let's do it this way too. Okay, I'm going to mark that. I'll probably have to mark it again after I iron it because I use the pins where the heat of the iron removes the mark, the ink mark. Okay, so now you're going to line your center creases up. Now, if this makes you feel better to put pins in that, go right ahead. So let's just sew this side. See how easy this is? Okay, so there we have it. And now we're going to press towards the green. And it'll make the green stem stand up if you do that. Let me put the heat of the iron to it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, because I erased that mark, see how I have these lined up? Now I'm just going to move it gently up. There we go. Okay, now it's time to sew this one. And that's how you make the stem. The difficulty level or part of making the stem is because the stem is a narrow piece of fabric. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give it a press. And if it doesn't want to press towards the stem, it's okay to press it towards the cream colored fabric. All right, let me get this one pressed. And mine does not want to press towards the green stem. So now our next step is to trim it to the correct size. All right, so on this part, you want to make sure, because the piece is so narrow, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to bring it down here just a little bit. There we go. And you can also, let's do this. Helps if you put it the right direction, doesn't it? Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this diagonal line from my ruler to run down the center of that green. And then I'm double checking here for the measurement and here for the measurement to see where the fabric, if it's coming past the measurement line or if it's too short. And it looks good, so I'm going to trim and trim and remove that. And I'm good with the way that looks because it's just such a tiny piece. All right. And trim. Oops, and trim. Did I get that? Yes, I did. Okay. All right, and that's how you make. And look, this one is actually not perfect, and I'm okay with that. Okay, so you need to make one for each of the colors of your leaves. So there's 4 leaves per block, so you need to make 8 of these. All right, I got one more to make, and I'll be right back. All right, so here's how we're going to lay them out. There's my stem in the corner. As you can see, I've already pieced the rows over here. Okay, all right, so as you can see, I've already pieced red one, blue one, and a green one. And you can do as many colors in here as you would like. All right, so now we're going to piece, you're going to piece each of these units together to make one row. So that's row 1. Same here, row 2, match, right sides together and join. And then here's row 3. And now it's time to sew. So let's move these off the table. And so now we have, oops, they don't want to move. So now we're going to go right sides together. Now, in all the other videos, I've shown you how to join correctly. So we're going to go right sides together. And what seam is it that you join first? It's your center seams. And now the corners of the rows should line up and you can sew. All right, I'm going to do this row, and I'm going to join them all together. So I'll be back here in a moment. So now I have my orange leaf complete, and now we're going to pull it all together into a block. So I'm going to put my orange one down here. I'm going to put a green one over here. Looks like I need to press that again. Let's put a blue one diagonally across from the green. And you can lay them out any way you like them. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to place the cinnamon up there. Now you're going to join your C rectangles. Place one in between row 1 and row 3. And then the very center row, let's pull this down just a little bit so they can, that piece, you're going to join the C rectangles to the F center square. So I've already done that, as you can see. Now it's time to join this to this to this, creating row 1, and then we're going to create row 3, and then we'll join the rows. All right, let me get mine made. I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I have my maple leaf block finished, and now we have one more step. So I have one here, and there's one right here. So our next step is, do you remember the sashing rectangles from block 3 that I had you cut them, and you only used 4? I had you cut 8, and you only used 4 in block 3. So the other 2 go on the sides of the maple leaf block. All right, and so once you join the sides, it'll look like that. Okay, there you go. Now you have completed your maple leaf block. And I have an idea. So if you decide you really like this block or any of the blocks, minus the center one, all you have to do is add that same sashing rectangle, and you have a pretty nice placemat sitting right there. Or what if you just want to make some of these and make these, say, as a mug rug, but it's a square instead of a rectangle. You could always add a rectangle to one of the sides. Easy peasy. Just trying to give you some ideas on other things you can use these components with. All right, I will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining me today, And our next release, I will post it on here, and everything you need to know about this quilt block, the download for the PDF pattern. Remember, it's only free for 2 days. So it's going on my website on November 11th, 2024, and it will be free until, it'll be free Monday and Tuesday. That's the 11th and the 12th. And then the 13th, it will be $1. At the end of November, all of the blocks for the pumpkin spice quilt along will be taken down from my website and will be made into one complete pattern where you downloaded the pumpkin spice yardage, which was the pattern cover. All right, and that pattern will be for sale for $12. So hope you've enjoyed this one. We are almost done. One more block, and that's the Log Cabin Ohio Star block. I'll see you next week on that one.